There are places we stumble upon by chance, yet they leave an unforgettable mark on our hearts. Today's story is one such journey. Let me take you into the world of the house beneath the ancient tree, a place where memories, hope, and unfulfilled promises intertwine under the canopy of a centuries-old tree. Here, you'll meet Grandma Yuki, the keeper of countless stories, and be guided by the tree itself on an emotional and mysterious journey. Sparkles a silver bracelet, a small lantern, and a forgotten promise from the past will lead you through long dormant memories, helping you find peace within your own soul. Crescent Moon, if you're looking for a story that is gentle yet profound, a space for your mind to rest and your heart to find serenity, this is the journey for you. Backhand index pointing right, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share this story with your loved ones. Let's step into the tranquil world beneath the ancient tree together. Let's begin. Deciduous tree sparkles. The narrow path leads you deep into the forest, where the last rays of sunlight filter through the leaves, painting an enchanting tapestry of light and shadow. You're not sure how long you've been walking, only that your footsteps seem drawn to a place you've never been, but somehow feels strangely familiar. And then, you see it. Beneath the sprawling canopy of a giant ancient tree, a small, charming house nestles into the landscape as if it's a natural part of the forest. Its moss-covered roof, wildflowers blooming along the wooden steps, and the faint curl of smoke rising from the chimney create an inviting warmth. As you approach, the wooden door gently creaks open. A woman steps out, her long silver hair tied neatly behind her, and her eyes filled with the wisdom of a lifetime. Her smile is tender, making you feel as though you've found the place where your heart belongs. "Welcome, dear," she says, her voice as soothing as a lullaby. "I'm Yuki. This is my home, but tonight it is yours." Grandma Yuki leads you inside. The house is modest but incredibly cozy. The wooden walls are adorned with hand-painted landscapes, and a small table sits at the center of the room, holding a steaming pot of tea. The glow from an oil lamp illuminates the space, creating a nostalgic, comforting atmosphere. "You seem tired," Grandma Yuki says, pouring a cup of fragrant tea. "Sit down, and let me tell you a little about this place." You settle into a wooden chair near the fireplace, the warmth seeping through to your fingers as you cradle the teacup. The tea's delicate sweetness soothes you, carrying a sense of tranquility that seems to flow from the ancient tree outside. The tree outside is no ordinary tree, Grandma Yuki begins. It has stood here for centuries, witnessing countless lives passing by. Every person who comes leaves a piece of their memory, and the tree keeps them, not to forget, but to protect. Your gaze drifts to the window, where the towering tree sways gently in the breeze. It's as though you can hear its whispers, soft and mysterious. "You can talk to it," Yuki says. "All you need to do is sit beneath its canopy and listen. It will tell you what you need to hear, no more, no less." After finishing your tea, you step outside with Grandma Yuki. The fresh forest air fills your lungs, and the rustling of the leaves forms a natural symphony. She gestures to a small wooden bench beneath the tree's canopy. "Sit down, take a deep breath, and think about what you carry in your heart. The tree will know how to listen." You follow her advice, sitting and closing your eyes. In that moment, all the fatigue from your journey and the worries of life seem to dissolve. Only peace remains. The gentle breeze in your ears and the sensation of the tree's vast arms enveloping you. A deep calm washes over you, as if the tree is speaking to you in its own language. Beside you, Grandma Yuki watches with a knowing smile, her eyes reflecting understanding. "This is how it all begins," she says softly. "Rest tonight, and I will tell you more." The next morning, sunlight streams gently through the small window, waking you with its warmth. The cheerful songs of birds echo through the forest, blending with the fresh scents of pine and damp earth to create an unexpectedly delightful start to the day. Outside, Grandma Yuki has prepared a simple breakfast: toasted bread, a handful of wild berries, and a cup of chamomile tea. "Did you sleep well?" she asks, her eyes warm and kind. You nodded, feeling a rare sense of peace that you hadn't experienced in a long time. "When under the canopy of the ancient tree, I always sleep well," Grandma Yuki said, her gaze drifting toward the towering tree. "It doesn't just shield us from storms, it guards our dreams too." As you ate, your eyes were drawn to a worn, hardcover notebook resting on the table beside the tea tray. The cover was frayed, but the handwritten title remained clear: Stories of the Ancient Tree. Noticing your curiosity, Grandma Yuki smiled. "This is the journal I've kept over the years," she explained. "It holds the stories of those who've passed through this place. Each person came here carrying something, and the ancient tree helped them find what they needed." She opened the notebook and flipped to a page near the middle. "Here is the story of a mother," she began, her eyes distant as though gazing into a memory. "One afternoon, many years ago, a young woman came here carrying her little boy. She looked exhausted, her eyes filled with despair. When I invited her inside, she simply cried, unable to speak a word. I knew she needed help, so I led her to sit beneath the canopy of the ancient tree. 'Tell the tree,' I told her, 'whatever it is that weighs on your heart.'" The woman began to share her story of a family torn apart, a broken marriage, and the overwhelming fear that she wouldn't be able to raise her son alone. When she finished speaking, the leaves rustled in the wind as though the tree was responding. Grandma Yuki said, her eyes misty with recollection. "She didn't hear anything distinct, but I knew the tree had given her what she needed. By the next morning, she left with a look of hope in her eyes that I hadn't seen before." "Curious," you asked, "how did the tree help her?" Grandma Yuki smiled gently. "Sometimes, we don't need clear answers. We just need a space to confront our feelings. The ancient tree provides that. It listens without judgment and helps us find strength within ourselves." After breakfast, Grandma Yuki led you outside. Both of you sat on the wooden bench beneath the ancient tree. She placed her hand carefully on the tree's trunk, closed her eyes, and smiled. "Do you hear it?" she asked. You closed your eyes and focused on the sounds around you. At first, there was only the rustle of leaves, the chirping of birds, and the steady rhythm of your own heartbeat. But gradually, you became aware of another sound, a gentle whisper, indistinct yet comforting. "That's how the tree speaks to us," Grandma Yuki explained. "Everyone hears something different, and you might hear exactly what you're searching for." Opening your eyes, you felt an unusual connection. The expansive canopy above seemed to envelop you, and in that moment, all your fatigue and worries melted away. As you were about to stand, your eyes caught sight of something tucked beneath the tree's roots, a small wooden box, partially obscured. You pointed it out, and Grandma Yuki followed your gaze. "How curious," she said, retrieving the box. "I've never seen this before." The box was small and weathered, its surface intricately carved with leaf patterns. Grandma Yuki opened it carefully, revealing a folded piece of old paper inside. She unfolded the paper with care. The faded handwriting was still legible. "Thank you for listening. This tree has saved me, and I leave this blessing behind. Whoever finds this box, may you also find peace." For a long moment, both of you sat in silence. "Perhaps it's a message from one of the many visitors," Grandma Yuki said softly. "Everyone who comes here leaves something behind. And you, perhaps you will leave a mark of your own." The small wooden box and its message deepened your understanding of the ancient tree and the people who had come to it for solace. But it also raised questions. Did the tree possess some extraordinary power? And what would the next story it had to tell be? That afternoon, Golden sunlight filtered through the canopy, casting shimmering patterns on the ground. You and Grandma Yuki remained under the tree, but the air felt heavier after discovering the box and its mysterious note. "There are so many stories I haven't shared," Grandma Yuki said, breaking the silence. "But today, I feel something different. It's as if the tree is trying to tell me something." You furrowed your brow, looking up at the branches swaying gently in the breeze. The tree seemed alive with a vitality that went beyond mere nature, as if it were a sentient being, silently observing and understanding everything. Grandma Yuki took out her old hardcover journal and flipped to another page. "There's a story," she said, "about a boy who once came here. I've never forgotten it." She began to recount, "Many years ago, a boy around 12 years old wandered into the forest. He was scared, trembling, and completely silent. When I brought him into the house, I realized he wasn't just lost in the woods, he was lost within himself. He couldn't remember where he came from or why he was in the forest. But when I took him to sit beneath the ancient tree, he suddenly began to cry, as if the tree had awakened some deep memory." You leaned forward, captivated. "What did the boy find under the tree?" Grandma Yuki offered a wistful smile. "He didn't find anything tangible, but the tree helped him remember. He remembered his family, the feelings of being abandoned that had driven him to run away. But more importantly, he remembered that he didn't want to be forgotten. The tree taught him that no matter how far you wander, you can always find your way home." As she finished the story, a strong gust of wind blew through, shaking the leaves with a sudden intensity. You turned around, startled, sensing that something unusual was happening. "Perhaps the tree is speaking to us," Grandma Yuki said, her voice thoughtful. "I've lived here long enough to know that when the tree reacts, it means something is about to unfold." She stood and placed her hand on the trunk. "Oh, ancient tree," she murmured, "what do you wish to tell me and my guest?" The moment she finished speaking, a strange sound echoed. It wasn't the wind, nor the rustling of leaves. It was a voice, deep and soft, emanating from within the tree. "Do you hear it?" Grandma Yuki asked. You nodded, feeling a chill run down your spine. It felt as though the ancient tree was calling to you. Without hesitation, you stepped closer and placed your hand on the rough bark. Instantly, a strange sensation coursed through you. Not painful, but deeply profound. For a moment, it felt as though you were no longer in the present, but being drawn into another realm. You closed your eyes, and an image appeared in your mind. A young woman stood beneath the tree, cradling something in her arms. Her face was blurry, but her sorrow was unmistakable in her posture and the way she clung to the object. "Who is she?" you murmured aloud. When you opened your eyes, Grandma Yuki was watching you closely. "What did you see?" she asked. You described the vision of the woman. Grandma Yuki's face changed slightly, her composure faltering for just a moment. "I've heard of her," she said quietly. "A woman who left something beneath this tree, but no one knows what it was." Just then, another gust of wind blew through, lifting the leaves at the tree's base and revealing a patch of disturbed earth. You and Grandma Yuki exchanged a glance before kneeling to investigate. Under the thin layer of soil, you unearthed another small wooden box. This one, however, was locked tightly. "It seems this is the tree's message for you," Grandma Yuki said, her eyes glinting with curiosity. "We'll need to open it to understand its meaning." You felt a strong compulsion, as though the box held answers not only for the ancient tree, but also for your own journey. The mysterious box appeared to be an invitation from the tree, suggesting that deeper secrets lay waiting to be uncovered. To uncover the truth, you would have to face what the tree had preserved for centuries. Back in the cabin, under the soft glow of the oil lamp, the intricate carvings on the box became clearer. They depicted the shape of the ancient tree, its dense canopy, gnarled trunk, and far-reaching branches that seemed to embrace everything around it. The box was locked with a small metal clasp, but there was no key. You shook it gently, but no sound came from within, as though whatever was inside had been silenced by time itself. "The tree gave this box to you," Grandma Yuki said, "but the key isn't always physical. Perhaps the tree wants you to discover something before you can open it." She picked up her journal and thumbed through its pages, her eyes scanning quickly over the entries. "I recall someone mentioning a box like this," she said, pausing at a particular passage. Finally, she pointed to a short entry. Asterisk, "The tree gave me a box, but it wasn't meant to be opened right away. I had to understand myself before I could find the key." Asterisk, you looked at Grandma Yuki, puzzled. "Understand myself? What does that mean?" She closed the journal, her expression serious. The ancient tree never gives direct answers. It guides people on their own journeys. Only when you're truly ready will you find the key, not in the physical world, but within yourself. Grandma Yuki suggested you take the box outside and sit beneath the ancient tree that evening. "Let the tree guide you," she said. "Listen carefully." Sitting under the canopy, you placed the box on your lap and closed your eyes. The wind brushed through your hair, carrying with it the gentle rustling of leaves, like a soothing melody. Gradually, images began to form in your mind, not sharp, but vivid and alive. You saw a young woman, clutching the wooden box, tears streaming down her face. She whispered something to the ancient tree before placing the box at its roots and walking away. She left something behind. You whispered to yourself. The vision shifted. This time, you saw yourself sitting beneath the ancient tree, just as you were now. But in your hands, there wasn't the wooden box. Instead, there was a small silver key, glowing softly under the moonlight. When you opened your eyes, the light from Grandma Yuki's lantern cast a warm glow on your face. "What did you see?" she asked, her voice gentle yet filled with curiosity. You recounted the dream, particularly the image of the silver key. Grandma Yuki listened intently, her expression growing thoughtful. A silver key, it may not be a physical object. It could be a part of the tree's memory, a symbol of something it wants you to rediscover within yourself. She pointed at the wooden box. Try to think. Have you ever left something behind in your life? Something forgotten or buried deep that you haven't confronted? Sometimes, the answer isn't found outside. It's within. You stared at the box, feeling a faint ripple of forgotten memories stirring within you, though they remained indistinct. Suddenly, something extraordinary happened. The box began to emit a soft light, as if responding to the whispers of the ancient tree. It wasn't harsh or blinding but gentle, like moonlight streaming through the canopy. Grandma Yuki stepped closer, placing a reassuring hand on your shoulder. That's a sign. The tree is telling you that you're on the right path. You picked up the box, feeling a warmth radiating from it. The urge to open it grew stronger than ever. Back in the cabin, you sat at the table, staring at the box. Grandma Yuki's words echoed in your mind. Asterisk, the key isn't always a physical object. Asterisk, closing your eyes, you focused on the blurry images in your mind. Slowly, a spark of clarity emerged, a memory long forgotten. It was a promise, one you had left behind years ago. When you opened your eyes, you placed your hand on the lock of the box. The moment your fingers touched it, the lock clicked open, as if it had been waiting for you all along. Inside the box, there was no treasure, no grand artifact, just a folded piece of aged paper and a simple silver bracelet. Though modest in appearance, the bracelet carried a profound weight. Unfolding the paper, you read the handwritten words. Asterisk, if you found this box, it means you're ready to remember. The tree is not just a listener, but a guardian of our memories. Let it guide you to where it all began. Asterisk, you looked up at Grandma Yuki, who regarded you with a mixture of wonder and understanding. I believe the tree has entrusted you with a task, she said, and you're the one who must carry it out. The wooden box had revealed a new secret, hinting at a deeper journey to uncover the truth guarded by the ancient tree. But what lay at the place where it all began? And were you ready to face it? Grandma Yuki's eyes lingered on the silver bracelet in your hands, her expression reflective. The ancient tree never gives anything without purpose, she said. This bracelet must hold meaning, but to understand it, we must go to where it all began. You held the bracelet, feeling a strange warmth emanating from it, as though a fragment of memory was flowing through your fingertips. The old paper directed you to the root of everything, but what was that root? Standing beneath the tree's canopy, the late afternoon sunlight streamed through the leaves, casting intricate patterns on the ground. The tree always shows the way, one way or another, Grandma Yuki said, gently touching its trunk. Closing your eyes, you placed your hand on the rough bark, just as you had before. This time, the rush of memories was sharper. You saw yourself in a different place, not beneath the ancient tree, but in an open field of tall grass. In the center of the field stood a large stone, weathered and ancient, like a marker from a forgotten time. Opening your eyes, you described the vision to Grandma Yuki. She remained silent for a long moment, then nodded. I know that place, she said. It's a meadow not far from here. I've heard that before the tree grew, that was where all memories began. You and Grandma Yuki prepared a few essentials and set off for the meadow. The narrow trail wound through dense forest, where sunlight barely pierced the canopy. When you emerged from the woods, a vast meadow unfolded before you. Tall grasses swayed in the breeze, creating a sound like whispers from another time. In the center of the meadow, you spotted the large stone from your vision. It stood tall yet welcoming, as though it had been waiting for your arrival. As you approached the stone with Grandma Yuki, a strong gust of wind swept through, bending the grass in waves. Sunlight glinted off the stone's surface, revealing faint carvings worn smooth by time. Grandma Yuki knelt beside it, carefully brushing away moss and dirt. Slowly, the carvings became clearer, and you recognized patterns similar to those etched on the silver bracelet. This bracelet might be the key, she said. Try placing it here. Holding the bracelet, you placed it into a small indentation on the stone. As it clicked into place, a faint light spread from the stone, illuminating the meadow in a soft glow. A powerful energy pulled you into a dreamlike state. Once again, the image of the young woman appeared, but this time it was vivid. She stood beside the stone, clutching the silver bracelet in her hands, her face streaked with tears. She spoke softly, her words carried away by the wind, leaving only faint echoes. Beside her stood a man, calm but with sorrow etched into his eyes. They exchanged words, but neither of them smiled. Then you saw the woman place the bracelet on the stone, whisper a farewell to the man, and walk away. The man stood still, watching her until she disappeared into the meadow. When the vision ended, you found yourself back in the present, standing beside Grandma Yuki. Who was she? You asked, your voice trembling slightly. Grandma Yuki furrowed her brow, as though trying to piece together fragments of a distant memory. I don't know for certain, she said, but perhaps she was the first person to connect with the ancient tree. She left her memories here, at this stone, for the tree to safeguard. You glanced down at the silver bracelet in your hand. Then why did the tree give this bracelet to me? Perhaps the tree wants you to finish something she couldn't, Grandma Yuki replied, her expression serious. What did you see in the memory? Did she say anything? You shook your head. It was just whispers, but there was something very important. Grandma Yuki placed her hand on the stone, examining the etched symbols closely. I think, to understand this fully, we need to find more clues. These markings seem like a message, but it will take time to decipher. As you and Grandma Yuki prepared to leave the meadow, another strong gust of wind swept through, causing the tall grass to ripple like ocean waves. The wind carried a faint sound, reminiscent of the whispers you had heard beneath the ancient tree. "We must return to the tree," Grandma Yuki said. "It might guide us to the next step." The stone in the meadow had unveiled an important fragment of the past, but it also raised more questions. The connection between the young woman, the ancient tree, and the silver bracelet remained a mystery. You sensed that this journey wasn't just about the tree. It was also about discovering something within yourself. By the time you and Grandma Yuki returned to the small cabin beneath the ancient tree, the sky had dimmed to twilight. The last rays of sunlight filtered through the branches, casting flickering patterns of light and shadow, like a silent dance. The silver bracelet and the meadow stone lingered in your mind. Who was the young woman in the memory? What had happened between her and the man at the stone? And why had the ancient tree chosen to give the bracelet to you? As you approached the tree, the atmosphere changed. The wind stopped entirely, and the leaves hung motionless. An almost sacred stillness surrounded the tree, as though it was waiting. "The tree knows we found something at the stone," Grandma Yuki said, her voice trembling slightly. "It wants us to continue." You placed the silver bracelet against the tree's bark, where natural grooves formed the shape of leaves. Instantly, a soft light radiated from the contact point, and you felt a surge of energy flow through you. As the light faded, a strange sound emerged, not the rustling of leaves nor the wind, but a melody. It was like an ancient song, echoing from deep within the tree. "Listen carefully," Grandma Yuki urged, placing her hand on the tree trunk. You closed your eyes and focused on the melody. It wasn't just music. It was a message, a whisper from the past that the tree was trying to convey. In that moment, you were pulled back into a vivid memory. This time, everything was clearer. You saw the young woman returning to the ancient tree after leaving the stone. She stood beneath the canopy, tears streaming down her face, and placed a hand on the trunk. "I couldn't keep my promise to him," she whispered, "but I hope the tree will protect what we once shared." She carefully placed the silver bracelet into a hollow on the tree's trunk, as though entrusting it to the future. "If someone finds this bracelet," she said, her voice breaking, "help them complete what I could not." The vision shifted. You saw the man standing in the meadow, his eyes filled with regret. He bowed his head and murmured a promise you couldn't hear before his figure faded into the soft light of the setting sun. When you opened your eyes, the melody had stopped, but the connection between you and the tree remained strong. You recounted everything you had seen to Grandma Yuki. She sighed deeply, her gaze distant and contemplative. That woman, perhaps she was one of the first to create a bond with the tree. The silver bracelet she left behind wasn't just a keepsake. It's part of an unfulfilled promise. But what was the promise? You asked, feeling an overwhelming urge to uncover the truth. "I don't know," Grandma Yuki admitted, "but the tree must want you to complete something she couldn't. It has chosen you to continue the story." Suddenly, a powerful gust of wind surged through, shaking the branches of the ancient tree violently. The sound of the wind blended with the rustling leaves, forming another melody, a clear invitation from the tree. "The tree wants us to go deeper," Grandma Yuki said. "There may be more than just memories. Something tangible, something vital, is being guarded by the tree." You and Grandma Yuki circled the tree, searching for clues. Finally, you discovered a large hollow near its base, hidden among the intertwined roots. "We have to go inside," you said, feeling an undeniable pull that this was where all the answers awaited. Grandma Yuki carried an oil lamp as the two of you stepped into the hollow of the ancient tree. The darkness inside was absolute, but the warm glow of the lamp illuminated the natural wooden walls, revealing carvings identical to those on the meadow stone. In the cramped space, you saw a small wooden chest covered in dust and green moss. As you approached and opened it, you discovered an old book and a small silver lantern, crafted like a miniature version of the silver bracelet in your pocket. You picked up the book and turned its aged pages. The first lines, scrawled in faded ink, read, Asterisk, this is our story. The story of two people who left a promise beneath the canopy of the ancient tree. If you found this, please help us fulfill that promise. Asterisk. The wooden chest and the book within it offered an important clue. Yet the promise made long ago by these two individuals remained shrouded in mystery. The ancient tree seemed to be guiding you deeper into the tale it had protected for centuries. As you flipped through the book, the scent of aged paper filled the air, carrying the weight of time. The first entry seemed to whisper from the past. Asterisk, it all began one summer afternoon, beneath the sprawling canopy of the ancient tree. We vowed that no matter how the world might change, no matter how far we were separated, the tree would always keep our promise safe. Asterisk. You and Grandma Yuki exchanged a glance. The flickering lamplight cast a contemplative shadow over her face. A promise, she murmured. Perhaps this is what the tree wants us to complete. You continued turning the pages, and the story within began to take shape. It told of a young woman and a man deeply connected by their shared bond. They had stumbled upon the ancient tree by chance during a journey, but it became the witness to their memories, joys, and unfulfilled dreams. Asterisk, we promised each other that if one day we couldn't be together, the tree would hold our memories and guide us back to each other again. Asterisk, but life rarely follows a perfect script. An unexpected event forced the woman to leave, taking the silver bracelet as a symbol of their promise. The man stayed behind, waiting beneath the tree. Both believed, with unshakable hope, that the ancient tree would reunite them no matter the distance. The final entry in the book revealed a heartbreaking twist. Asterisk, I returned to the ancient tree, but he was no longer there. I left the silver bracelet as a message, hoping the tree would give it to someone who could find him for me. If you are reading this, please finish what I could not. Asterisk. A pang of sadness tightened your chest. The woman had come back, only to find the man she loved was gone. She entrusted the ancient tree with her hope, believing it would one day help continue their story. She never gave up, Grandma Yuki said softly, her eyes clouded with emotion, but she ran out of time to wait. As you finished reading the last words, something extraordinary happened. The silver lantern in the chest began to glow, radiating a gentle yet powerful light. The glow wasn't confined to the small space. It reached beyond the hollow, illuminating the branches of the tree outside. The tree is showing us the way, Grandma Yuki said with certainty. We must follow this light. You held the silver lantern, feeling a warmth emanate from it, as though it carried the essence of the story within. The light wasn't merely to illuminate the path. It felt like a guide, beckoning you to delve further into the tale the tree had preserved for so long. Stepping out of the hollow, the lantern's glow spread across the tree's vast canopy, making the leaves shimmer like they had been gilded with gold. A breeze rustled through the branches, carrying a sound like soft whispers. The tree wants us to follow, Grandma Yuki said, pointing toward a narrow path leading out of the forest. Without hesitation, you began walking, the lantern in hand and the silver bracelet safely tucked in your pocket. The path felt strangely familiar, though you couldn't recall ever traveling it before. The lantern's light revealed faint footprints in the earth, traces of someone who had walked this way long ago. They led to a vast, open meadow bathed in moonlight. The stillness of the place was almost otherworldly. When you reached the meadow, you realized you were back at the stone, but it was different this time. The lantern's light intertwined with the moon's glow, creating an ethereal atmosphere. The large stone in the center of the meadow glowed brightly, as though it had been waiting for your arrival. Approaching the stone, you placed the silver lantern on its surface. As the lantern's light touched the stone, a vivid image appeared before you, clear and lifelike. The young woman and the man stood face to face beneath the canopy of the ancient tree. They didn't speak, but their gazes held a depth of emotion that spoke louder than words. For a fleeting moment, it felt as though their story was whole again. Then the image dissolved, leaving you in silence. The vision of the two figures beneath the ancient tree wasn't just a memory, it was a message. The tree had brought you here to complete something unfinished, but what could it be? As the lantern's light and the glow of the stone faded, the meadow remained imbued with a surreal stillness. You and Grandma Yuki stood amidst the gentle breeze, the tall grass rustling like whispers of encouragement. "What do they want us to do next?" you asked, a profound sense of purpose stirring within you. "They brought us here to remember," Grandma Yuki said, her eyes fixed on the silver bracelet in your hands. "But the tree doesn't just protect memories, it holds onto what remains unfinished. I believe their promise must be fulfilled, right here." You knelt beside the stone, placing the silver bracelet and the lantern on its surface. The wind around you suddenly picked up, swirling the sounds of rustling grass and leaves into a symphony of whispers. In that moment, a deep voice resonated in the air, not coming from anywhere in particular, yet strangely familiar. Promises are never forgotten. They simply await completion. Let the light guide you. You turned to Grandma Yuki, her expression calm yet contemplative. "What does the tree want me to do?" you asked. She nodded toward the lantern. "Do you remember the melody you heard from the tree? That might be the key." Taking the silver lantern into your hands, you closed your eyes and focused on the melody that had lingered in your memory. It wasn't just a song. It was a language, an expression of emotions too deep for words. As you began to hum the tune, the lantern's light grew brighter. The stone beneath you trembled slightly, as though responding to the sound. Suddenly, a beam of light shot out from the lantern, illuminating a distant point on the meadow. The light carved a path through the tall grass, leading to a hidden grove at the edge of the field. "That's where we must go," Grandma Yuki said, her voice trembling with awe. "The tree is guiding us to the heart of the story." You and Grandma Yuki followed the glowing path, stepping carefully as the tall grass brushed against your legs. The grove that emerged before you felt different from anywhere you had been. A cluster of smaller, intertwined trees, their branches and roots tangled together as if embracing each other for centuries. At the center of the grove stood a sapling. It wasn't as grand as the ancient tree, but its form mirrored the elder tree's shape, as though it were its offspring. Nestled among the roots was a small wooden box, surrounded by wildflowers. You knelt and gently lifted the box. It wasn't locked. Opening it, you found an old piece of paper and a tiny silver key inside. The paper bore a handwritten message. Asterisk, if you have found this box, you've arrived at the place where everything began. Use this key to open the door to memory and complete our promise. Asterisk. Returning to the stone in the meadow, you noticed something you hadn't seen before. A narrow slot carved into the surface, perfectly shaped to fit the silver key. With care, you inserted the key into the slot. As you turned it, a powerful light erupted from the stone, enveloping everything around you. You closed your eyes as an overwhelming sensation swept over you. Not pain, but a sense of being absorbed into a greater whole. When you opened your eyes, you found yourself standing beneath the vast canopy of the ancient tree. But this time, you weren't alone. The young woman and the man from the vision stood before you, their faces serene, their smiles warm. "Thank you," the woman said, her voice as soft as the wind through the leaves. "You've helped us complete what we could not." The man nodded, his eyes filled with gratitude. "Our promise is no longer a burden. Now, our memories will merge with the tree, so that anyone who comes here may feel the peace we've found." They stepped closer to you, each placing a hand on your shoulder. As they did, a radiant light enveloped all three of you. In that moment, every worry, Every weight you carried dissolved, leaving only pure tranquility. When the light faded, you realized you were standing alone beneath the ancient tree. The silver bracelet was no longer in your hand, but you didn't feel its absence. "You've done it," Grandma Yuki said, her voice gentle as she stood nearby. "The tree has passed their memories onto you, and now they can finally rest." As you left the meadow, a deep sense of peace filled your heart. The story of two souls had found its conclusion, yet you knew their memory and promise would live on, forever preserved beneath the ancient tree's watchful branches. When the light faded, the tranquility of the ancient tree's grove returned. You stood beneath its sprawling canopy, sensing a profound shift in the air, an unspoken relief, as though the tree had finally let go of a burden it had carried for centuries. Looking up, you saw its branches stretching skyward like outstretched arms embracing the heavens. In that moment, you understood. The ancient tree was not just a tree. It was a living entity, holding the memories, emotions, and hopes of all who had sought refuge beneath its shade. "You've done it," Grandma Yuki's voice pulled you back to the present. She approached, her gaze soft yet filled with pride. You smiled, feeling lighter than ever before. Before you could respond, the tree emitted a soft hum. Not the sound of rustling leaves or a passing breeze, but a gentle whisper that seemed to come from its very soul. You and Grandma Yuki turned your attention upward. A faint beam of light descended, landing softly in your outstretched hand. Within the glow, an object began to materialize, a simple yet elegant silver necklace. "The tree is gifting this to you," Grandma Yuki said, her voice trembling with reverence. "It's not just a token. It's a symbol of gratitude, a way for the tree to thank you for fulfilling the promise." Holding the necklace, you felt warmth emanating from it. The pendant, a delicately carved depiction of the ancient tree, hung at its center, a perfect emblem of this sacred place. As you fastened the necklace around your neck, a profound sense of connection washed over you. Closing your eyes, you heard a familiar voice, the voice of the young woman from the visions. "Thank you," she said, her tone as soft as a breeze through leaves. "The ancient tree holds not just our memories, but the hope for those like you. Wear this necklace as a reminder that you carry the peace of the tree with you, and that you always have a place to return to." When you opened your eyes, everything felt different. The weight of unanswered questions had lifted, leaving only a sense of peace and fulfillment. Walking back to the cabin with Grandma Yuki, you listened as she recounted stories of others who had visited the ancient tree, those who arrived burdened by grief, hope, or dreams left unfinished. "The tree has witnessed it all," she said, "and now it will continue to live, not just as a keeper of memories, but as a source of connection and trust." By the time you returned to the cabin, night had fallen. The warmth of the fireplace and the familiar aroma of herbal tea welcomed you, wrapping you in a sense of homecoming. "You've left a part of yourself here," Grandma Yuki remarked with a gentle smile, "but I believe you've also taken something precious with you." Nodding, you touched the silver pendant around your neck. The ancient tree wasn't just a place you visited. It had become a part of you, a constant reminder that there is always a safe haven to return to. That night, lying on the wooden bed in the cozy cabin, you gazed at the shadows cast by the flickering lamp on the ceiling. The silver necklace emanated a gentle warmth, a quiet reminder of the connection you now carried. The sounds outside, whispering leaves, the hum of insects, created a natural lullaby, ushering you into a restful sleep. Yet in your dreams, the images of the young woman, the man, and the ancient tree remained vivid, as though they were still with you. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the window, casting a golden glow over the cabin. A sense of serenity enveloped you, as though every burden had been left behind. Grandma Yuki was standing on the porch, preparing a simple breakfast with a steaming pot of herbal tea. Today's the day you leave, she said gently, her tone kind but tinged with a hint of sadness. You nodded, feeling a mix of gratitude and longing. Thank you for everything, you said, and thank the tree for giving me this chance. She placed her hands lightly on your shoulders. The ancient tree isn't just a place for answers, it's where we learn to face ourselves. You've done that, and now it's time to carry this peace to others. Before departing, you returned to the ancient tree one last time. Its vast branches swayed gently in the morning breeze, as if bidding you farewell. Placing your hand against its rough bark, you closed your eyes, letting its warmth seep into your palm. A soft voice echoed in your mind. Whether from the tree or your own heart, you couldn't tell. Carry this peace with you, and remember, you always have a place to return to. Opening your eyes, you smiled faintly. The tree's leaves rustled, a final farewell in its timeless language. As you stepped onto the forest path leading out, there was no longer a sense of uncertainty or loss. Each step felt purposeful, as though you had reclaimed something vital, a part of yourself. The silver necklace glimmered in the sunlight, its warmth a constant reminder of the journey you had completed. The ancient tree and its stories would live on, not only in its grove but also within you, as a testament to the power of connection, trust, and the promise of peace. Our story may have ended, but the echo of the ancient tree's embrace lingers on, flowing through every breath you take. Close your eyes and imagine yourself sitting beneath the great tree, its branches stretching wide to hold the sky. The soft rustling of leaves, like a lullaby from nature itself, eases away all your weariness. Take a deep breath and feel the peace spreading through your soul. With every exhale, let go of your worries and let yourself drift to a space filled with quiet and gentleness. Crescent moon under the canopy of the ancient tree, you are safe. Memories and hopes blend together, offering you a deep and tranquil rest. Let the light of this story guide you into beautiful dreams, where you rediscover yourself, cradled by an endless sense of serenity. Sleep well. Milky Way sparkles ZZZ.